Hello everybody, it's Christina and welcome back to my library. This is my 5-star TBR predictions and I have quite a few books to get through here. I did want to just say real quick, I'm going to apologize in advance because my neighbor is getting their house power washed and they literally just started as I started recording. So, yay. And it's the person right next to me, so you might hear it. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud, but if you're wondering what that noise is, it's my neighbor getting their house power washed. Just FYI. So anyway, let's get started on my 5-star TBR predictions. These are books that I think I am going to really love just based on other reviews or maybe what the premise of the book is about. So yeah, let's get started here. I have a few physical copies, a few ebook copies. I think I own all but 2 of them at the moment. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to start off with the physical copies because I do have them right here, and then I will move on to the audiobooks and the ebooks afterwards. The first book that I think I'm absolutely going to love is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I have been wanting to read this series for a very long time. It's a well-loved fantasy series and it just sounds perfect for me. There's several books in this series already. There's the Farseer trilogy, and then there's also what I think is called the Mad Ship trilogy that comes after this. But yeah, I'm really interested in this book. You follow the story of Fitz, who is training to be an assassin. But yeah, this is an epic fantasy story that I think I am just absolutely going to love. And given that it's kind of along the same lines as like Mistborn or Stormlight Archives, I feel like this is going to be a perfect read for me and that I'm most likely going to be giving it 5 stars. The next book I want to talk about is another book in a much loved fantasy series, and that is Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, and this is all part of the Wheel of Time series. I haven't read Wheel of Time yet, which honestly I feel like I absolutely need to. It's one of those series that a lot of people just absolutely love, and the series was eventually finished by Brandon Sanderson. So I feel like since I love Brandon Sanderson so much, this is probably going to be another series that I just really truly enjoy. And it's another epic fantasy that I can't wait to get started on this one. I'm probably going to start it in November. I feel like November is going to kind of be my foray back into fantasy because I haven't been reading a lot of fantasy in the month of October. I've been doing a lot of thrillers, a lot of horror books, a lot of mysteries, and I feel like I'm gonna probably need to take a break from those once November starts because, you know, Halloween will be over. I'll be starting to want to get back into some more cozy reads that I'm more used to reading, like fantasy. So I think I am going to probably start this and probably The Assassin's Apprentice in November, and I'm really excited. I definitely think I'm going to love this series. I already own a good number of them. I actually got most of them at a library sale too, so they were only like 25 cents each, which is amazing. I think the first 3 books I did buy at Barnes & Noble, but the rest of them I all got at a library sale. I guess somebody was selling the entire series, so I'm really excited to start this one. And the last physical book that I have is actually a book I'm going to be reading very soon because I plan on reading it in the month of October, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I feel like Dracula is just one of those quintessential classic horror novels, and that it's a well-loved classic for a reason. You're going to be basically following a bunch of like newspaper articles and letters trying to puzzle out like what exactly is going on, and it's supposed to be very scary, and I'm just looking forward to it. I love that kind of style of book where the book is kind of written as a series of letters or entries in a journal or letters, because I don't know, it just feels like you're more of a participant in the story than if you were just reading it. That was how I felt about the Illuminae Files, which is another series that did have the book written in that style. And I'm really in the mood for this one. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm going to love it. I've heard very good things from people that are big horror fans, that they just love Dracula. The next book is an ebook that I actually already own, but I haven't started yet, and it's probably another one that I'm going to start up in November because it's a fantasy novel, and that is The Sword of Kaijin by M.L. Wong. I've heard very, very good things about this from a lot of fantasy readers that I follow on booktube. Every single one of them that has read it has had nothing but very good things to say about it. It's actually an indie published book, which I think is very interesting, and it's become as popular as it is because it's not always easy to find an indie book where everybody on booktube is talking about it, or at least everybody within a certain genre of books is talking about it, and I find that very interesting. I believe this book is going to follow two perspectives, a mother and a son, and I'm very intrigued by the fact that it's going to be following a mom, because you don't get that a lot. The only other series that I can think of off the top of my head that had you following a mother was the Broken Earth trilogy, and as somebody that is a mom, I love that I can actually relate to a character like that. And that was part of the reason I love Broken Earth so much. I believe every single one of those books got a 5-star for me as well. I'm really looking forward to this one. I believe we're following two, like I said, a mother and a son, Mamoru and Misaki. Misaki is the mother, Mamoru is the son. And they're kind of living in this war-torn area. You're basically going to be following their story on whether or not they are going to be able to overcome all of the challenges of living in a war-torn country like this. This one actually very much gives me Poppy War vibes, which that series, again, that was another easy 5 stars for me. Every single one of those books got a 5-star as well. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and the fact that so many fantasy booktubers have highly recommended this one just gives me a lot of hope for it, and I do think it's going to be a 5-star read for me as well. Next up is one I can't really talk too much about because it is the, I believe, 10th book in a series, and that is Small Favor by Jim Butcher, and this is the next book in the Dresden Files series. I have been a huge fan of the Dresden Files for well over a year now, and again, I can't say anything about it, but given the fact that I've given the last, I want to say 6 books in the Dresden Files series a 5-star, I'm thinking this one's probably going to be a 5-star as well, but I'm not going to talk about the premise or the story because that would be spoilers for pretty much the rest of the book, or the rest of the series. So we're not going to talk about it, but I do think it is going to be a 5-star for me. Absolutely. Next up is a second book in a series, and that is Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Muir? I'm still trying to figure out how to say that. I even looked it up. Muir. I believe it's Muir. And it takes place after the events of Gideon the Ninth, which was the very first book in the Locked Tomb series. And I absolutely loved Gideon the Ninth. I gave it 5 stars. I've actually read it twice now, so I'm super excited to read Harrow the Ninth. I've heard very good things about it. Again, can't get into too much detail about this one because it is the second book in a series and a lot happened in Gideon the Ninth. And finally, the last book that I think I'm going to give 5 stars to is the only thriller on this list, and that is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. This book's been out for a very long time, but I haven't actually read it. I think I started it back in college, but I just never had enough time in college to read a full book, so I ended up putting it aside and just never getting back to it. So I'd really like to get back to this one now. It's going to be following the story of a journalist who was hired by a wealthy man to find his niece that went missing over 40 years ago. And it goes through all sorts of like political intrigue, corporate corruption. There's all sorts of stuff that is going to be in this book, and it has been very well received. Lots of people love it. Lots of people say it's one of their favorite thrillers, and I am super looking forward to reading this one. Editing Christina here. You probably still hear the power washers because I am now editing a couple hours after I recorded, and they're still going. Anyway, I just realized that I forgot to mention a book that I think I'm actually going to really like, and that is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. That's actually the book that I have chosen for my Fan House book club for the month of November, and I just heard really good things. I heard it's a really good, kind of wholesome fantasy. Is it a contemporary fantasy? I can't remember, but it's very well received by a lot of people I've talked to, and so I meant to put it on the list and I don't know why I didn't, but yeah, I wanted to add it because it's one that I think I really am going to like. And if you're a Fan House sub, you can join in on the book club discussion. We will be starting the book in November and probably discussing it either end of November or beginning of December. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that one, and I definitely think I'm going to give that one 5 stars as well. So that concludes my 5-star TBR predictions. Hopefully you enjoyed. What 5-star TBR predictions do you have? Do you have any on your TBR list that you think you're absolutely going to love and give 5 stars to? Let me know in the comments below. You can also follow me on all sorts of social media, which I have linked down in the description box below. You can become a Fan House sub, which is $3 a month, or a channel member here on YouTube, which is either $1.99 or $4.99 a month by clicking the join button down below. And those are always optional, by the way. You do not have to. It just helps support the channel. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.